Hi, everybody. Diana here at Heartfelt Creative. Happy Sunday afternoon. I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you're getting a little relaxation in, or maybe you're out. I know in most of the US this weekend, it's hot. I know it's 90 degrees here where we are in Illinois, which is up by Chicago. So yes, I've got a sweatshirt on, but I'm inside with the air conditioning on. Actually, I also have shorts on. So because I'm going to go outside later. And so I thought, half of me is ready to go outside and I'll just put a different shirt on when we go. Anyway, but it's hot here. So if it's hot where you are, I hope that you're someplace cool. So here's my public service announcement for the day. Make sure and drink a lot of water or fluid. Keep yourself hydrated because that sun can really, the heat stroke can come on really quickly. Anyway, that's my as somebody who works in the medical industry for most of my life, I always have to give those little tips when I can. But I wanted to come to you today because I'm starting a new video series, completely free. Watch them when you want. Share them with friends if you want. They're going to come out on Sundays. About 4 years ago, when I started tinkering with the idea of doing a business for real. I mean, I thought about it for years, but when I started thinking about it for real, I guess it's been more than 4 years. I guess it's been about 6 years ago. I was thinking about the business name, So Me, So You. And I thought, well, maybe not. I couldn't quite ever decide that would be the name. So you all know now that I settled on Heartfelt Creative. That's just a little more who I am, I guess. But I thought for Sundays, because everybody has social this and social that and this, and of course, I mean, social and Sunday, they go together. Why not, right? But I thought I would just call this little video series the So Me, So You Sunday. Okay. So what this little series is going to be about is, because I am always designing or teaching, which I love, sometimes I need some time to do my own quilts, right? I mean, I have a wedding quilt now for a nephew to make, and a college quilt for a nephew to make, and I have a baby quilt for a new great niece to make. I mean, so, my projects are starting, I'm starting to get UFOs, y'all, and I never had them before. So I thought what I'd do is I would share with you what I'm making. I'll give you all the information that you need in case you want to make it along with me. It won't technically be a strict demonstration, but you'll have the information in case you want to make it too. And then you can kind of see this progress as I go. And I'll give you some tips and tricks for things. And I just thought it would be kind of a fun time. I was going to do it live. I've been toying around the last few months. I've done like one social Sunday live thing for the last couple of months. And I thought, people are so busy now. And Sundays sometimes are the only days we have with our families. They're the only days we have to go outside. And with COVID just starting to we're kind of trying to transition, dipping our toes into transition back into a little bit of a pre-COVID life, now that a bunch of us are getting our vaccinations to kind of see, how's that going to work? Are we going to be okay? And the doctors and scientists are telling us that summer's the time to do that because the virus is at a lower level. So, people are going to go out and they're going to want to do stuff. We were all stuck in the house for a year, right? So I thought, what, let's just do it as a video. That way nobody has to be here at a certain time. Nobody has to check in with me or anything like that. You can watch this whenever you want, however often you want. You can rewind, you can fast forward, whatever you want. And that way it's there when you want it. Let's just be honest here. 2 nights ago, I was up until 3 a.m. I had gone to bed at my normal time around 11. Gosh, you guys are learning a lot about my habits now. I don't know if that's good or not, but I had gone to bed. My husband had already gone to bed because he gets up at 4:30. So yes, he was up like an hour and a half after I finally went to bed. But because he lap swims in the morning. I exercise when I get up in the morning, but he lap swims super early so he can go into work early. Anyway, so I had gone to bed And I thought I was starting to fall asleep. And then I don't know. I don't know if I heard something. I don't know if a thought popped into my mind, which is usually the culprit. Something pops in, and awake I was. And I was just laying there. And I was staring at the ceiling, and I was counting sheep, and I was counting spools of thread, and all that kind of stuff, right? Could not go to sleep. So I got back up and I came back in here to the studio, and I started tinkering around and sewing a little of this and sewing a little of that. The one thing that helped me finally fall asleep was I got onto YouTube and I started watching some sewing videos, just different ones that would, that pop up in my feed. So I'd watch here and watch there. Some folks that, I've never seen any of their work before. It was nice. Some people that I know really well, but maybe because I was watching something that I enjoy and all, it just helped me to relax. And I finally was able to go to sleep, but it was 3 a.m. Anyway, so if you need something late at night to watch to help you sleep, these videos might be for you then. So instead of Sundays, they might be in the middle of the night. So anyway, this week, I'm going to start out. So if you're in the US, you may know this company super well. It's Kim Jolly, I believe is her last name. It's the Fat Quarter Shop. They're such a great organization. I love them. I've been watching Kim's videos and using some of her stuff for years. I get fabric from them. When I can't get something from my local quilt shop, Fat Quarter Shop is a lot of times my go-to. I have like 3 go-to other shops out there on the internet. Fat Quarter Shop is in that top 3 all the time, especially when it comes to getting Tula. If my shop doesn't have it, I know Fat Quarter Shop will always have it for me. So they came up, they're doing a sew along. They have had different designers create blocks. They've been doing it for a while. I think it started back in February, but I just found out about it like a week and a half ago. And the blocks are downloadable. They are completely free. There is a video that is a very strict demonstration of how to put it together. The ones that I looked at were all Kim was doing them. And everything is free. It goes through July 2nd. After that time, I don't know how long they intend to leave those files and information online. It might be forever. I just don't know. Their idea was this, well, I'll tell you what it's called. It's called socialites. Another social word. There we go. I just loved the same. I loved it so much. As you can see, I went ahead and I ordered the binder to put all of my patterns in. So what I did is I've gone in and I've downloaded all the patterns that are available, which I think is like 32, 33, something like that now. And there's just a few more. They're putting together a very specific quilt. I don't plan to do that whole quilt. I plan to take a bunch of these blocks and put together my own completely scrappy quilt. And when I mean scrappy, I mean, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going to pick from my scrap baskets and go from there. And so what I've done is I've downloaded them all to my computer, and I printed out the first one that I've decided to make, and I'll tell you about it again in a minute. And then I'll keep them all when I print them in here. And then I'll always have this binder with my patterns in it, my notes written on it, because even if I could look at the pattern here, like on my computer, I'm always like writing my own notes. What did I do? Did I change some? All that kind of stuff on here. And then I'll always have it, and I'll remember this whole thing, the socialites. I think they put out the new patterns on Friday. And like I said, there's a video in there. I won't be giving you like specific dimensions and all that kind of stuff, because I'm not here to run a separate socialites quilt along. I'm just using these blocks to make my own quilt. And I wanted to share where you could, because if you want to jump in and do this with them, they're still doing it. So you could do that. You could do it with them. But I wanted to tell you where you could get this, because it was so kind of all of these designers to get together and make blocks and give them to us for free like this. So if anyone from the Fat Quarter Shop or any of the designers that worked on this project see this ever, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love some of these blocks. I really love, and I'm choosing some of my absolute favorites to put in my own quilt. So the first one that I'm doing is block number 18, actually, and it's called Hardy Block. You'll see why here in a minute. It's by the one and only Corey Yoder from Coriander Quilts. And so the instructions are great. I mean, you've got all your measurements, all of that on here. And if you can see, I'm just going to try and hold it up there. You can see what the block looks like, right? It's a star and it has that heart, thus the Hardy Block. Can I just say this? I know from friends of mine who are very big into Hallmark's series, When Calls the Heart, I think their little fan group calls themselves the Hardys. Wouldn't that be cute to make for one of them as a gift? Don't ask me how I know that, because I don't watch the show. I've seen some of it, but I don't watch it. But I know some ladies that watch it regularly. And so something like that could be cute for them. And oh, here's the other thing about this whole process that they're doing. They're giving you the cutting information for 3 different size blocks. So there's a 3-inch, a 6-inch, and a 9-inch. Those are finished sizes. So you could make a mini quilt. How cute would that be? A 3-inch mini quilt? I mean, with all your blocks. Oh, hang on. Alexa, stop. I had a timer set for Alexa because I have a homemade cheesecake. It's a cheesecake that you have to put in the freezer for an hour, and then you put it in the fridge. So that was what that was about. Whoops, hang on. Something's going weird here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I just ran. You didn't even know because I had it paused. I ran and put my cheesecake in the fridge. So I didn't want it to freeze solid. It just is in the fridge for an hour, or the freezer for an hour, then it goes into the fridge. So that's done. Anyway, back to important stuff. So they give you 3 different sizes of blocks that you can make for this quilt, which I thought was awesome of them to do that, to scale it up and down. And I'm probably going to do the 9-inch blocks because I want to make a pretty good size quilt and I don't want it to take me forever. Can you imagine doing like a huge quilt with 3-inch blocks? It would be stunning, but I'm not doing it. But you could make the cutest little mini quilt with some of these blocks, the 3-inch blocks. So if you try any of these blocks, please post your photos and your progress over on my Facebook page, Sew in Common. SEW in common, because we all have so much in common as quilters. So Sew in Common, it's a safe site. I don't do like selling and stuff there. I'm very specific. Anybody can join, but not everyone gets accepted. Now, I know that sounds weird, but we were hacked about a month and a half ago. A bunch of folks in this industry, their sites were hacked. So you have to be approved. Everybody gets approved unless there's something about the account that makes me think that it's not a real account, but everybody gets approved in the end. And it's just a nice, safe place to post pictures of the things you're making. Doesn't have to be one of my designs by any means. It can be anything you like in the quilting, sewing world. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do that because the people there in this group are so nice. They're always helping each other out, giving each other tips and hints and all of that, and inspiring one another. So if you do any of the things that you see here on Sew Me, Sew You Sunday, please feel free to post over there and introduce yourself so we can all say hi. Because I'd love to see them. And I know that some of the folks in that group would love to see them, because in that group there are like machine embroiderers, there are quilters, there are garment sewers. I mean, so we've got a little bit of a mix there. So it's always nice to see what everybody's working on. Alrighty, so the Hardy block, that's the one I'm going to be working on. That's the one you're going to see me work on next Sunday on Sew Me, Sew You Sunday. I know you're going, what? You're not going to do anything today. Well, I wanted to show you a couple of things because I am forever getting asked, how do I organize my scrap fabric? Because I know that some folks, after they get started quilting, the scraps start to build up and you're like, I've got a piece like this. What do I do with it? So I'm just going to kind of show you what I do. There's a ton of ways out there to do it. I know there are some designers out there that have like really specific ways that they do it and really specific things that they do. So look around, even in the YouTube videos and stuff, you might find even more ways, but I thought I would show you mine. So what I have is all my boxes come from IKEA. We are an IKEA home, have been for 25, 30 years probably. And so all of my buckets, I call everything a bucket, comes from IKEA. So I have these, and these are nice because they have this mesh screen on them, and so you can see what's in them. So what's in these, I have a couple of them, are a lot of my fat quarters. So I don't go into my fat quarters unless I'm looking for a piece that size and a specific type of piece when I'm working with scraps. But I work out of these. Like if I really need something and I pull something out of here, then that fat quarter ends up going throughout my scrap bins. And then I have another one down here. These are all fat eighths and other fat quarters that I don't have folded nice and neatly. Because to be quite honest, when I go to a fabric shop, the first place I head is the fat quarter wall or the fat quarter basket or wherever they have their fat quarters cut. I go there first thing and start digging around because I found some of the most beautiful fabrics that way. And yeah, it might only be a fat quarter of it, but I'd rather have a fat quarter of it and put it in a scrappy quilt than never to have it. That's just my thoughts. So, and then when I go, I'm going to reach down here to cut my, my scraps. I put them in, I'm going to take what's in here out real quick. I put them in these things. Now, again, these came from IKEA. They were like $1.25 or something like that. But I bet you could find something like this at your dollar store. And what I do, I'm going to flip my camera over. You can kind of see. So in this bucket, I have, these are all what I call my bonus squares. If I'm making a project, if I'm doing a flippy corner and I can make an extra half square triangle, I save those and I keep them all in one of these buckets because sometimes I just like to take all these all of these half square triangles and put them into something scrappy. So I save them, and right here I just tell myself on a little post-it what that is. So that's a 3.5 inch square, little half square triangles. That's what those are. Over here, these are 5.5 inch squares. So I've got my little tag right there that tells me what's there. So I have another one. These are my 6 inch. These are my 3x5s, my 4.5 inch squares, and my 4 inch squares. So I just stack them up. I don't separate them out by color. Now I should actually come in here. The only ones that I do really separate out by color are these that are mainly whites, because I don't use white a lot unless I need it for a background. And why they're in here, I don't know. I think I was just cutting one night and started stacking stuff up, and I haven't broken those out yet. And I have, oh, here are some of my, all right, so these are all 4 inch bonus squares. So I'll put those in my white bucket later. And then these are 6 inch squares in here, all different kinds of fabric, just whatever I'm working on, go in there. And then here is my one that I probably have the most of. Look, I have white again there. Okay, in there. So like here, these are 2.5 inch squares, 2 inch, 2.25, 3.5, 5, and 3 inch squares. And this is 3.5 by 2.5, but that also needs to go in my white bucket. So I keep little buckets like this. I stack them all up, and I have a cube right there that I slip them all into. And then let me flip the camera back. Okay, so over here you can see right here, I have a bigger one of these IKEA buckets, and in here are all of my white fabrics. I keep all of my whites together because when I go to need them, I want them all in one place. Like I said, I don't use white a lot unless I'm using it as background stuff. And so I keep them all together. And I also keep my my muslins in here too. So all of that goes right in there. And then this is actually where my small white ones go in there. And then I keep that right there. And I'm ready just to pull it out whenever I need to pull it out. But I wanted to share with you because the big question has always been, how do you decide? What do you do to get your fabrics and stuff, to do your scraps? How do you know what to save? How do you know what size to save? Well, for me, there's no hard and fast rule, but I'll show you some of the things I do, okay? And the first thing, I'm going to turn my camera back over. The first thing I do, see all of these little bundles or little rolls with the ribbons? My local fabric shop has an old-fashioned hand crank roller washer in it. Now, I remember those washers from when I was a little girl and helping my grandmother do the laundry. But they have it in there, and they have, whenever they finish a bolt, I'm thinking, they take and wrap them up, and the color of ribbon tells you the size and all, and they just throw them all in there. So when I go in there into their shop, regardless of what I'm going for, I dig in there and I just pick things out. So I found 2 of those. I love that little orange dot. And I found this. I know I have this fabric in another colorway. So I thought, oh, that's a nice, this is a print that looks like a solid from a distance. So that would be a perfect one. And a lot of these are like that. They're smaller prints. Now there is a couple in here that have larger prints in them and all, but I get these. And then what I do with them, so even here, like these 3, any of you that know me know that I'm a little Tula crazy. There should be a special group for people like me, kind of like a program. So I found 3 offcuts of Tula that they had left over from some bolts. Well, I snapped those right up instantly. So what do I do when I get these? I bring them home and I just snip my ribbon. I'm sorry, I could take the time to unfold it all and keep them, but no, on these I just snip and go. Then I unfold it and I kind of see what I've got here. Okay, so look at this. This is a long cut. This looks like it's width of fabric. Yep, it sure is. So I'll press all of this, and then I'll see, what do I have? What's kind of, so this is not, so you can tell this is not an even cut on this side. So this is wider, but this is thinner. What do I have here? Let's put it this way so I can, 1, 2, 3, 4, about just roughly 4.5 to 5 inches across there. So because of the way this is, I will press this out, and I am going to do, there's a couple of things I would think about with this. One, I'm going to even up the edges. First thing I'll do is even up my edges. Then I could, at this width, I could make myself 2 2.5-inch strips and then put those strips in my strip bucket, my 2.5-inch strip bucket, because I showed you square buckets. I also have buckets like those where I keep 2.5-inch strips and then anything that's smaller than 2.5-inch. And the 2.5-inch or less bucket, I just have them all in there, and I like to just kind of play and go through them. The 2.5-inch strip ones, those are kind of neatly laid out like you saw in those other buckets. But so I could make myself a couple of 2.5-inch, or a 2.5 and a 2, or a 2.5 and a 1.5 and a 1 or something. So I could make myself some width of fabric strips from this piece, which would be great. Or what I could do once I get everything straightened up is I could make myself these smaller strips. I showed you in one of my basket, I had like 3 by 5 inch strips or something. So I could do that for part of it, and then I could do part of it as strips, whatever I want. So I just think about it like that, like what kind of pre-cut is out on the market that I could turn these into, because in all honesty, I love pre-cuts. So when I think about cutting my scraps, I think about what are the pre-cuts that are out on the market that I use regularly. So I'm pretty sure with this one that I'm going to turn this strip into a couple of width of fabric strips for that bucket, because I like to do a lot of what they call string piecing, string quilting, which is another thing I'm going to go over in one of these Sundays, because I have a quilt going for that. So let's see what this one is here. Now this one is interesting in the fabric because it's a really kind of a pretty off-white background. Let's see, can we get some of that? There, you can see that a little bit better. It's a little bit of an off-white background. I could technically use this as a white in something with these little, but I love these little flowers. There's 3 different colors in there. There's that soft aqua and a lighter pinky red and a darker red. So I'm probably going to put these into squares, I'm thinking. So again, I've got width of fabric here. It's a double fold. So I have width of fabric here. This is a lot of fabric. This, I'm betting, is going to be close. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is a good 12-inch by width of fabric. So again, I could make myself some strips, but I know that with this particular fabric, I'm going to make it into squares. So what I'll do is once I've trimmed up and gotten everything evened off on my edges, taken off my salvage, and yes, sometimes I do save my salvages because I like to do piecing with just salvages. So what I do once I get everything cut up, then I think about it for a minute. And I look at my size and I think, well, so if this is, let's just play here and I'll kind of take you through my process. So I've got my rotary cutter. I'm going to take the salvage off. And what I do is I always line up my salvage on one of my lines here. And then I come into the next line, which is about 1 inch. So wherever that, if it's a little bit over the salvage, that's fine. I just take that whole piece off there because I know that full 1 inch there, if I save this salvage, would give me a good size piece for that. All right, so I'm straightened up this way. Let me move my binder out of the way and turn this. And I'm going to put my shortest edge here on a line. So I'm pretty well over the line here. I think I'm gonna come in. Sometimes I try to only come in 1/2 inch if I can. Yeah, because I can't do less than that and get a completely straight cut all the way up. Alrighty, so I've got this. And I'm going to cut that piece off. Now I have a fully squared up piece of fabric. Because this is nicely folded over like this, I'm going to cut with it like this for now. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, let's see, 1, 2. Oh, with the fabric. So this should be roughly 21 inches. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, 21.5 inches roughly, but I don't have a full 1/2 inch. It's kind of in a between state. So down here at the fold, I'm going to take, oh, you can't see it. Sorry, let's see. There we go. So down here at the folded edge, I'm going to take off that little bit because it wasn't a full 1/2 inch right there. And so now I know I have exactly 21 inches this way. And I know that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so I know I have 12 inches this way. So I could come in here, cut straight down the middle and have a 6 inch and a 6 inch, and then I could cut 6 inch pieces. So let's see, that would give me 3 6-inch cuts. And then a 3. Yep. So that's probably what I'm going to do here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to come in here and cut this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and cut here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and cut here. All right, so I have 6, because remember, these are all from a fold, been folded, so I have two each. Come here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to cut these down. So I'm going to end up with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of these 6-inch blocks, and they'll go in with my 6-inch stack that I was showing you. That's what I'll do there. Now here, I know that I have 3 inches left over, and it's 3 by 12. So, well, that's just very simple math. This is going to get cut into 3-inch squares. And I know everything is nice and lined up because I did that to start with. And now I'm just cutting myself some 3-inch squares. I didn't press this one, but it's going to be okay. This one wasn't very wrinkled. And because when I work from scrap, when I do scrappy quilts, it doesn't matter to me if they're, if they're all matched up and perfect. So, sometimes I might find that I get a bunch of 3-inch blocks or a bunch of 4.5-inch blocks or whatever. Then the next time I start to do a scrappy project, I'll use that size block to kind of get me going and work down that stack of blocks a little bit. So there we go. Now I have 3-inch blocks and I can put those in my 3-inch bin. So I'll go through all of these to do that. And that is how a lot of times, because I knew that I was going to be doing this socialites quilt completely scrappy, I wanted to mix in some other fabrics other than what I have. So when I was at the shop, I just grabbed a whole bunch of these. I kind of went a little bit nuts. I knew I wanted some purples because I didn't have many of them. So I just grabbed a bunch of these, and I'm going to go through and I will cut all of those up into the bins. But here is what I get asked about the most. Ooh, the basket. Diana, I have a piece like this left over. What do I do with it? There's some whites. Oh, I have a piece like this left over. What do I do with it? Or a piece like this, what do I do with it? On and on and on. I get this question all the time. What do I do with these scraps? So these are my scraps. I have a piece like that. Should I keep that? I say yes, because I will definitely use that. So, or I have a piece like this. Let's set the basket back over here for a second. I have a piece like this. What in the world? So with all of these pieces, I do the same thing I was just showing you. I figure out how much I have, what's a good general size to have for squares and pre-cuts, and I cut them. But what in the world do I do with a piece like that? Well, basically the same thing. The very first thing I do is I come in here and I square it all up. So this actually needs a little bit of pressing right here because it's been stuck in the basket, but I'm going to come right here. So all of that goes in the bin. I'm not keeping that. So I've got some stuff here. So what I'm going to do on this one, just because, I can, they're my scraps. There are no rules. There truly are no rules for this. This is just how it works out in my brain. So I'm going to cut this like this. I'm going to set that one aside. And then, so 1, 2, 3, This is 4, but it's a little bit wide up here at this end. It's not quite fully. So I'm going to come in here and I am going to just straighten up this edge. But I'm going to have a nice 4-inch strip there. Get all of that lined up. There we go. And see, you can tell it's off just a little bit from that 4-inch. I'm just going to come up and I just have that little bit right there and I'm going to pitch it. And then I have, this is a double strip here. So this, because this is folded right here. So I will come in and do to this what I was showing you that I did with the other ones. And then this piece that was left over that I cut off. All right, so this down here, no, it doesn't need to be in my world. So I'm going to come in here and I'm even right here at a mark. So I can't do here because that's not going to be right. I could come in a 1/2 inch, but I'm just going to cut it right at the full mark. And that is going to go in the bin. And then I can cut these. So I know that these are 3-inch. So I could do some 3-inch squares, maybe some 2.5s, whatever I need to do with that. And that's what I do with my basket like this. So how do I get these? So what happens, how these tend to add up here is that as I'm sewing things and making things, I cut and I end up with a piece like this beautiful lattice fabric from, it's a Kimberbell Basic from Kim Christopherson. So it's a piece I have left over. Well, you know, I'm not really going to throw that back into my, I have a big bucket that is only Kimberbell fabric. There are 2 designers I keep in their own baskets, their own buckets, Kimberbell and Tula Pink. And so, but I'm not going to put that back into that because the reason I'm not is I'm going to end up losing it because it's kind of small. But I can certainly trim it up a little bit and I can make myself some small squares. Probably I'm going to get some 2.5-inch squares out of that really easy. And then I have hardly any waste and I know it'll go into a quilt and it, or a pillow slip or whatever I'm going to make with it. And it's going to be gorgeous. So that's how these things end up in my basket. So here's some Tula. Now these look pretty big. I could maybe put these back, these pieces back in the Tula bucket for now. But so like here's a piece from the holidays. This is a pretty good size piece, but it's not even here. So I'm going to even that up. And depending on what that measures out to, let's just take a look. I may just leave that alone. This might just need a tiny trim. This is 1, 2, 3. It looks like it's trying to be 3.5, but I don't think it is. Yeah, no, it's not fully. Well, it might be fully 3.5. Let's see. Yeah, technically it's fully 3.5 inches wide, so that's good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get over here as close as I can. There, we're going to cut this straight. So now I can do 3.5, 1, 2, 3.5 will give me a 3.5-inch block and then a 2-inch block. So that's all right, a 2-inch rectangle. So that's okay. I could cut that then into a 2-inch block and maybe that smaller piece would then be the waist or whatever. But this is a pretty good size piece. So this is the one other thing that I do just a little something separate with, and that's holiday fabrics. I have a whole bucket, like I was showing you, I have my bucket with all my whites and stuff in it. I have a whole big bucket that has nothing but my holiday fabric in it. And when I cut up my small holiday fabric scraps, I put those separate as well. I don't have to. There's nothing wrong with putting that in a quilt that has every other fabric in the world in it. There'd be nothing wrong with that in this world. I just get kind of weird that way. That's just my brain damage, right? That I can't do that. So I keep these in another separate little bucket that's just holiday scraps that are cut. So I'm going to turn the camera back over here to the top. So that's how I do my scraps. And so you can see I've got myself a pretty good little basket there. And now I've got these ones that I picked up at the quilt shop. So I need to go through and spend a few hours just cutting those all up into scraps. Do not think you have to follow that system. You can cut them up however you want to. You can keep all of your, you can just fold your scraps and put, I mean, for years, I just had a big box and all my scraps went into it, and I would just go through and dig when I wanted to use them. And then I got a little more organized for myself because I like my stuff to be organized so I know where it's at. Sometimes I know where everything is in the chaos, but within the chaos, there are little islands of organization. And so I like to keep it that way. So do whatever works for you. But, you know, like I said, my little boxes that I use to keep my buckets that I keep my scraps in, they were like $1.29 a piece at IKEA, but I bet you that $1.29 that you could find something just like that or similar if you wanted to use that idea at your dollar store. And so you could, you know, I have, like, I still have 3 or 4 over here that are kind of put away that I don't have anything in right now, because I buy them like 6 at a time. And then if I need them for something, and these, because they are thinner, so because this is just this tall, which I think is probably just a couple of inches, let's see. Yeah, it's 2 inches tall. This is only 2 inches tall. This makes a great tray for when I'm laying out. Like if I'm going, my sewing machine is on the other side of this table. When I'm going over there, it's great for me to be able to put all the pieces in a tray like this, walk around, do my sewing, put it in, come back, put my next, do whatever. So this is a great little transport tray for your blocks and stuff while you're sewing as well. So that's why I always keep a few extras, just so I can use them for stuff other than just keeping my scraps in. Okay, folks, I've kind of prattled on long enough, I know. But I wanted to, there's a lot to that, and I really wanted to share that Scrappy organization idea with you, because I know I get asked that a lot, and maybe that will help you. Maybe that will inspire you to look around your room and your home and find things that you can use already, that you already have. But I think the most important part was, how do I deal with the fabrics? What fabric is too small? Well, you saw that I had that little, where'd he go? Here he is. I have this, that's not too small to save. You know, if it was half that size, I'd save that too, because that's at least one block. I mean, if I can use it as a sized block and get it into a quilt, then I haven't wasted. And that's, you know, if you're kind of a penny pincher like I try to be, then you know that you've gotten the most out of your pennies for that fabric. So, but and I also wanted to share that I'm going to be starting. So next week, I'm going to be doing my first socialite block, and I'm going to do that Hardy's one, I believe. I'm going to look through them again. I want to look through all of them and kind of pick the ones I know I want to do for this quilt. So that's going to be the first project that I'm going to be working on. Sew Me, Sew You Sunday. So help yourself if you want to go to their site and grab some blocks and do your own. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You don't have to do anything at all, but I thought you might be interested. And this might also, this is kind of a, you'll kind of see like how I think about quilting when I do these things, because it's going to be pretty ad lib, like today a little bit, when I'm doing these. And if you also are more interested in like specific demos for quilt blocks, then join me on Mondays for my Patches and Pieces series. It's a live event on my Facebook page, Heartfelt Creative with Diana. I'm going to put all these links and info in the description here on this post, folks, so you don't have to try and write everything down. But on Mondays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time in the US, that's 7 in the UK, and that's 11 a.m. out in my friends out in Seattle or on the West Coast. I live in Seattle for 21 years, so it's home to me. I will eventually, we're eventually moving back there, by the way. Exciting. Anyway, on that live event on the Facebook page, I tell you what the block is, and I give you tips and tricks for the block. But I also do a video, a full demoed video on whatever block we're working on that week. And I load that video here on YouTube, and it's also, it gets a link over on my Facebook page, so you don't have to like go everywhere if you don't want to. And in that one, we go over really specifically how to put blocks together. That's Patches and Pieces Monday. Again, if there's, I give you the information so that you can make your own block, like what fabric you need as far as size, this and size of that and all. And so, and then again, ladies like to post, and gentlemen like to post their stuff over on Sew in Common, so we can see how everybody's doing. And you're going to end up, if you ended up doing a block every week, you don't end up with 52 blocks at the end of the year. You can make one killer quilt with those blocks, one killer scrappy quilt. And there might be some weeks you're like, that one doesn't float my boat, I don't want to do that one. That's fine, no problem at all. And then if you are someone that is always interested in what I call the gadgets or the tools of the trade, once a week I put out a video called Good Gadgets. And in each Good Gadget video, I review 2, sometimes 3 different tools that we use. And I'm not supported by any of these companies to talk about any of these things. These are things that I use that have either been recommended to me over the year, or I found on my own, or things that I was taught. Like, I've been quilting since I was 7, over 50 plus years. And so things my grandma used to tell me, I mean, I still use those techniques. With all the modern stuff we have today, I still use those original techniques that I was taught by my grandmother. So in Good Gadgets, that's what we do. We talk about it. So like this last week, we talked about a couple of different types of scissors and why you use them, why it's important to have them for your left hand if you're a lefty, that kind of stuff, because I'm a lefty. And so you can, those are here on YouTube. Watch them whenever you want to. You can always contact me either through the YouTube posts or through my website. There's information for that, or through Facebook. And I'm always happy to help answer questions, or just if you want to say hi, that's great too. All right, folks, have a great rest of your Sunday. Join me next week for Sew Me, Sew You Sunday. I still like that name. And I'm going to start doing my socialites quilt, my version of my socialites quilt. So see you then. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.